and Happy New Year! How's your New Year going? Mine's going great. It's new, but it's going great. And I just wanted to pop on because I have not posted on my Fiery Maple channel in months and months and months, and almost a year. And that makes me feel bad. I feel bad that I just suddenly stopped posting. I had my reasons, but you don't have to get all into that. But I wanted to start the new year off on a better foot and say hello and see how everybody's been doing. And sincerely, I would like to know. So if you're willing, let me know in the comments how you've been. And I am not good at this, but I am endeavoring to be more authentic, more vulnerable, and all that jazz that is important to, humans. And I have to say, 2023, it kicked my butt. It was one of the most challenging years of my life. I did not have a great time, I have to say, in 2023. I did not. But I learned a lot. And I do think I'm putting some of those challenges behind me. So I'm really excited about that. And you know what? This is another thing I want to say. If you're not okay, it's okay not to be okay. It really is. And that's something that I also had to kind of learn. You think I would know that. But I really try to think that it's on people to try to make themselves okay. And if you're always have anxiety, or if you're depressed, or you're having all these challenges, not that you can't share with people, but I kind of operate under keep that to yourself. But that's not fair and that's not okay. And I think that we need to start having much more what I'm calling holistic conversations and being authentic and really sharing who and what we are. And I think I want to know that I want it on the record that if you are a person who is sensitive to what's going around in the world or to what's happening, especially in the Middle East, also in the Sudan and Congo, and you are looking around why is everybody okay? Why is everybody just continuing on with their life? This is insanity. And, we just all have to, we're going to our parties, we're going to work, we're doing our thing. And it's just what? It's okay for that to be deeply affecting your mental and emotional health, your spiritual health. It's okay not to be okay. In fact, I would say it's probably just means congratulations, you're human, and more of us should not be okay. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's that message is, how are you? Sincerely, I'd like to know. How am I? I am doing great right now today. I really am. I'm really excited about this new year. And actually, it's just been kind of coming to me. This is a really hopeful time. I do think things will continue to look bad, to continue to be really, really challenging. But I think on the other side of that is a whole new world that we will be building together. So I'm actually really hopeful, and that's going to be kind of part of my messaging moving forward. Despite things looking crazy, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. We really are. So what are my 2024 recommendations, health recommendations, marching orders, if you will? I'm calling them the 3 S's, the SSS. Not that SSS. You know what I mean. And so I'm going to start with spirituality, because the reality is part of the reason why our modern medical system is not as helpful and productive as it could be is because we have removed, not only is it we don't deal with the whole person, we deal with specific organs or symptoms or systems instead of the whole person and their whole lifestyle. We also have completely removed spirituality from medicine, which is back in the day, in your village or whatever, your medicine woman, your medicine man, your shaman, they would have an intimate picture of you and your family. It wouldn't just be about your physical health, but there would also be a spiritual component. And I think for a lot of us, part of our health issues are a spiritual issue. And a lifestyle issue, and not oh, you're eating bad things, you're not exercising, but most of us aren't on our path, myself included. We have not tapped into what we're really here to do. And we haven't really made peace with the reality that we're all so unique and special, and we're all uniquely here to do something that is unique to us. And we don't even oftentimes have the space to realize no, there's something inside of you that needs to be delivered to the world. You know what I mean? Like, you are unique and special, and are you really in the vocation that you're supposed to be in? Because when you spend the majority of your time doing things that you don't want to do, it is going to shred your mental, physical, and emotional health eventually. Or, I mean, some of us are stronger and more resilient than others. It is eventually, you are going to be less healthy than you could be if you were in your right vocation. Okay, so how does that link with spirituality? Well, I've always said, well, not always, but for years I've said, not that I've done this, I've said this, but it's not like I've lived up to it, is that people who don't take the time to sit with themselves every day, they're scared of they are not willing to be on their life path, or they don't want to know their destiny. So I think it's very important, as things get more challenging, that you have some sort of spiritual practice that you incorporate into your daily life, whether that's meditation or journaling or reading a sacred book, or even like art. You know, for some people it could be coloring books and things like that, or just connecting with nature. It's going to be so important for us to be on our spiritual practice, because things are going to only get more challenging. That's just what it is. And spirituality is, to me, now intimately connected with health. Self-care. So I'm a big fan of self-care. I talk about this. And I really think that now that most of the medical community has moved, we now all acknowledge, like, preventative care is key to healthcare. Now it's ready to go the next step up, which is self-care is key to preventative care. Preventative care is not, I go to the doctor once a year, or I go to the dentist, 2 times a year, or whatever. It's making sure you have a self-care routine. So I think it's really important that we all come up with a self-care routine, what I'm calling a sustainable self-care routine. Because one good thing about me going back to a corporate 9-to-5 job is it helped me remember how difficult it is to properly take care of yourself when you have a dearth of time and energy. And as someone who doesn't have children and who goes on and off like the traditional workforce, like there's so many years where I'm like freelancing, or like for years I took care of my grandma, which was, it's definitely a job, but it's not the same as having to show up at a job 40 plus hours a week, right? So I kind of forgot how difficult it is to make healthy decisions when you have responsibilities in your life. So anyway, even with self-care, we all know we're supposed to be taking care of ourselves, but we have to factor in our resources, not just money, but also energy. So there's people, you might have plenty of money, but you don't have plenty of time. But we have to find a way to have some sort of self-care practice that is sustainable, whatever that is. And if you really don't have any time or money to add to what you're already doing, and you're not doing, and you don't have a self-care practice, then I would recommend you find something that you already do daily and you make that your self-care practice. And the way you can do that is by intentionally doing it. So let's say you're a person who, like, you have some nice matcha process you do every day. Or you, every day when you come home, you have a cup of chamomile tea, or every night you got this like intense, facial routine that really makes you happy. If you have no more time and no more money, no more energy to add self-care to your life, and you already don't have self-care, then I'm going to say one of these things that you already do, now that needs to be your self-care ritual. And when you do it with that intention of that you're like pouring back into yourself and caring for yourself. Okay, so the third one I'm calling, it's kind of a stretch for it to be an S, but in the streets. What do I mean by this? It's a twofer. At some point, I do think we're going to need to be in the streets, as far as like making our voices heard and protesting and pushing back against tyrannical, whether it's institutions, governments, corporations, whatever. I think things are going to be afoot in these next few years. But before that, what we need to be in the streets about is, what I mean is in the streets, outside of your house, making connections with friends and family. Now, I'm going to be completely transparent here. I am an only child. I feel like I come from a family group who all of us are closet introverts. We present as extroverts. I mean, we'll talk your ear. I mean, not all of us, but I can sometimes. I'll definitely talk your ear off. But the reality is we are introverts. We want to be inside our house with ourselves, doing our own thing. We are internally sourced. We don't get fed externally. The time for spending all our time with ourselves is over. We need to be in the streets. We need to be talking to our neighbors. We need to be getting to know even more deeply the people who are in our communities, whether it's our church community or wherever. We need to start making a practice, because COVID kind of got us used to just sitting in our house. We need to start making a practice of being more outside and making more connections. I'll give you a good example. I'm already started. New Year's Eve, I had plans to meet up with a friend, and she wanted me to meet a new friend who she was like, you guys have so much in common. You should get together. I want you to meet. When that day came, I was just like, oh, I never get to stay in my house. I'm right in the middle of getting all this stuff done, and I should cancel, or I should and I'm like, no. One, you keep your commitments. Two, out there in the community, in the streets, meeting new people, making connections. It's going to be really important as we move into this new world we're building. We're going to have to lean on each other and know each other and trust each other. And so the time for just being in our own little, these little micro units that some of us are in, I'm sorry, we got to get over that. So we got to be out and about, making friends, making connections, knowing intimately our wider community. Okay? I think that's it. I had to look down because I did make a little note. That's all I have. So Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well. If you're not doing well, I completely understand it. Oh, this is the last thing. I got a TikTok, y'all. I think I'm just going to be on the internet all the time. I got a TikTok. I've been against TikTok, but I finally got a TikTok. So my TikTok handle is @FieryMaple. So if you are on TikTok, please find me on TikTok. I would find you on TikTok, but I didn't want them having access to all my content or contacts and things like that. So there's no way for me to easily just import anybody who follows me on Instagram or Facebook or this or that, or who I'm friends in person with. Okay, so that's it for Fiery Maple. Oh, you know what? I think this is Tuesday, and it's Tuesday Talk. So remember, self-care, spiritual care, in the streets, meeting people, making connections, strengthening the connections you already have. Oh, I'm on TikTok. There was something else. Oh, it's gonna be report back. So I'm gonna try to check in and ask you did you start a self-care routine? Did you start a spiritual care routine? Did you meet more people? Have you been in the streets? I want you to be in the streets. Okay, that's it. Bye.